Are you ready?
Boy,
Did he fucking lag out?
yo, I don't know. His ridge just like stood there, bro. Like,
I want to believe that this exact moment his internet died on us.
he can't talk or something.
Right now.
Got 1 hour and 10 minutes left. Can we?
Yeah, let's get started.
Right.
Mangler, are you ready?
Timekeeper, well, ma'am, are you ready?
Just tell me when you're starting.
Starting approximately 5 seconds.
Why are you so quiet?
Okay, am I good to go or not? Like,
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, you
I'm
can go.
waiting for
No, we're
you.
waiting for you. Yeah.
right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. So, beginning note, my opening statement. I'll be using full Arsenal Dante at the time of DMC3 with all the weapons that he acquires in game, all the powers and abilities he has up to that point in the story. Find the AP. For his main feats, I have him fighting like Sparta Arkham, and what that would entail. So Sparta Arkham scaling, bare minimum, would scale to 2C. 2C in its definition, using the VSB's wiki, would scale to anywhere from 2 to 1,000 equivalents of a destruction or significant effect of space-time continuums. Scaling to the demon world, generally you'd be able to prove this quite easily, given that it's a multiverse consisting of different dimensions separated by time, space. And Sparta, with his feats, easily scales above all the demon kings who scale to these feats quite easily. So even a fraction of his strength would scale to that proportionately. And moving on to speed statements. Dante would, his most consistent feats would scale for inaccessible, though he has arguments for immeasurable. The definition I'd be using here would be that time in the speed equation is not capable of affecting the character's movement in a nonlinear context. Basically, being able to move any distance while nonlinear time is not a factor. And examples of this would include that Dante effectively scales to and above lesser demons who can move in stop time and in reverse time, can move from the demon world to the human world in rather short period of time and attack in the same instance. He can scale to the Hell Vanguard, who can move through time and space when it attacks directly. And additionally, demons in general can appear anywhere at any time. Human world. And for other bonus mentions, we have several examples of timeless voids that demonic energy is capable of moving through freely. And humans in general are also capable of entering and viewing these timeless voids, which Dante would obviously scale above. For several immeasurable speed arguments, Dante is capable of using his power to transcend time, and in this transcendence context, he's capable of sending objects backwards in time, completely ignoring the flow of time in your sense. Now we move on to the AP section. So Dante would qualify for superhuman strength, speed, quite easily, capable of moving generally faster than most people can perceive with his eyes. He is capable of severe or expert marksmanship, capable of hitting anything outside of his range, outside of his eyesight as well. He also has complete weapon mastery, technique mimicry. He has instinctive reaction, rage power, of course, linear time interaction, higher spatial awareness of his surroundings. He has higher awareness of souls, higher awareness of minds, higher awareness of biology, his shared bloodline abilities, his advanced regeneration, and down below, he has advanced development, reactive growth, and power level. Extremely high pain tolerance. He has extremely high pain tolerance. He has extremely high pain tolerance, full of self-sustaining biology, highly observant information gathering, reality warping, manipulation of multiple different energy sources, passive and non-passive energy source side effects, self-actualization powers, conceptual manipulation, statistics amplification and transformation, non-physical interaction, shadow interaction, soul destruction, and soul subjugation and existence erasure. Now for his arsenal abilities that are related to his weapons in particular. He has rebound. For clarification, is just the ability to call an object to your position at any point in time. He has soul separation, fusion of human and demonic powers, fear manipulation, sealing of portals, energy manipulation, deflection of projectiles. He has energy manipulation and mass
10 minutes to go.
Heard. Sealing capabilities and BFR, dimensional destruction, atomic/molecular deconstruction, ricochet control and redirection, piercing properties, speed control and projectiles, explosive manipulation, tracking projectiles, laser manipulation, mass projectile creation and targeting capabilities, soul freezing, unidirectional, omnidirectional projectile creation, ice manipulation, invincible barriers, fire and wind manipulation, electricity manipulation, bat manipulation, tracking manipulation, sound manipulation, life drainage, light manipulation, holy manipulation, statistics amplification, deflection, and finally he has spatial and temporal bypass, dimensional travel, separation of humanity and demonic power, resurrection, vulnerable barriers, power amplification, sealing capabilities, time manipulation, manipulation over space-time and space and time, technique and ability mimicry, shadow manipulation, cloning and light refraction, damage reduction, damage nullification, damage conversion, rage control, and powers. Okay. I think that is the extent of my opening statement involving like tax, speed, and AP things. So I'm gonna do it further when we go into the free debate portion. Do we have a time for that?
You have 7. Well, you technically have 8 minutes.
Yeah, it says 8 minutes, yeah.
Might have cut short because I didn't technically list that last section after the passives as being like arsenal specific to certain weapons.
If you have anything else to go over, I'd go over it now.
Let me think. Think so at the moment. Well, wait, maybe. And obviously, just to note that, like, I guess during the debate, other scans outside of these ones will be brought up if, like, contentions or claims are made. So, just for the sake of interest and time, I didn't put them down there when I was going through them, but there won't be that many. So, yeah. I think that's it for my opening statement.
You're ending your opening statement.
I mean, I don't have too much to like add at the moment.
All right. If you're ending your statement here, I'll now reset the counter for Kenlyam. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, wait a second. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I would like to start for some AP arguments. In the beginning, the primordials created the universe. Uranus specifically, here in the novel, he states that he was the one who created the universe by his son, Jaime, something like that. His name is. I don't remember correctly what it is right now. So the skies in the skies and universe they're actually interchangeable terms in God of War, as Uranus is also referred as the heavens. He embodies the heavens. Here in one of these art book depictions, he's called basically the embodiment of the heavens. And we see that he creates the universe when Zeta punches him. So basically, universe and heaven, sky, all of this is interchangeable as well, because it just basically represents what's above the earth, or everything that's above the earth will count as heaven, the universe, all of this. So the sky is infinite, so their creation was infinite when this happened. Then after that, we have Atlas being able. We have more realms in the Greek cosmology as well. In the Greek cosmology, we have dimensions like Nick's dimension, which is called a parallel dimension, which by virtue of being parallel, it would mean that would have the same size as the mortal realm, which would imply that the dimension is infinite as well, because it is parallel to the human world, the mortal realm. Then we have the domain of Hades. Hades is actually stated to be infinite multiple times, even called immeasurable, to have an immeasurable distance at times as well. It is also in that Q&A, it is called a separate spacetime. I don't really need it right now because it is called also a different realm. And we also know that by that statement, that different realms in God of War are basically realm is interchangeable with dimensions as well. So when they refer to realms, they're also referring to dimensions. So, and you actually need to be powerful enough to be able to traverse these realms. Heavens, or Olympus, is also another dimension in the cosmology, even though it wouldn't seem like it at first glance. But yeah, it is also stated to be a different realm, and you actually need to be powerful enough to even reach there in the first place. We also see in Olympus, in Chains of Olympus, not actually Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, we see Athena coming from a portal to reach Olympus. She comes from a portal to reach the land. Um, Death's domain, which is basically an interdimensional distance between those realms. And also when Kratos is promoted to the God of War, to being the God of War as his new title, he also has to go through a portal to reach Olympus instead of being carried there by other like conventional means of travel, like I don't know, flying or whatever, Pegasus. So that further like backs up that these realms would be separated by space times, and they're also called realms, something I already addressed. Okay. So then, after this, other realms, we have obviously the domain of death as well. That's another dimension right there. So we have multiple space-time continuums. So by this, then we have Atlas, who's actually stated to hold all of the cosmos. He holds the entire world, and world is also interchangeable with entire pantheon. Creation is also interchangeable with pantheon as well, since it just encompasses everything that was created after the primordials. Chaos, which is actually the primordial void from which all life originates from. It's the actual void from which everything came from. Persephone actually states that if the pillar of the world is destroyed, then everything will revert to chaos, meaning that the entire cosmology, including all of those different spacetimes I just mentioned, will revert to chaos or nothingness itself by the end. So meaning that Atlas is actually holding all of creation itself via this magical pillar that is actually linked to all of creation. So after that, we have a statement from Ariel Lawrence that actually says that the Hecatoncris, who Kratos fights in Ascension, is actually comparable in upper body strength to Atlas himself. So he would scale to all of those spacetimes as well, all of those infinite spacetimes, and also compare Kratos fought him, so he would scale to this as well. After he's not comparable. Kronos is weaker than them, but yeah, even then, all the Titans should be comparable to each other. So they should all be on that like multiversal scale with those infinite realms. After that, how much time I have left?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay. So after after stating that, they scale to all of this, to this huge multiversal cosmology. Then, if you want to go even higher, this is so we have the flame of Olympus. We also have Athena, who's stated to have ascended to a higher plane, a higher plane of existence. She's also stated by Cory Barlog himself to have ascended to a higher realm, basically implying a higher dimension than she's ascended to a higher existence, also proving that realm and dimension are, again, interchangeable terms. So Athena, who's ascended to a higher plane of existence, would view everything that is not on this plane of existence as fiction. Yet the flame of Olympus is able to hurt her, as it has been implied that she cannot pass through it. And the flame of Olympus will literally slay any being who just tries to touch it or just go through it. The flame of Olympus is also, so the flame of Olympus would scale to her power. It would scale to her like higher dimensional power. So the flame of Olympus would have that higher dimensional power. So everything in that lower dimension would not affect at all her power, except the flame, which is actually powerful enough to affect her. Then we have a statement saying that Zeus draws power from the flame itself. So Zeus draws power from this flame that actually is able to hurt ascended Athena. So he would have access to this higher dimensional power as well, or have access to this basically have this higher dimensional level AP as well. And Kratos would meaning that he would have whatever higher dimensional AP Athena has. Zeus would scale to it as well. And Kratos would scale as well. Ascension Kratos also should scale, because it is you would have to basically prove that from Ascension to God of War 3, there was literally a beyond infinite power increase, basically an inaccessible level of power increase. You basically would have to prove that that Kratos even became that much powerful in that little time, that it was a higher dimensional level increase in power, which I don't see any proof for it to be. I don't see any proof for that, but yeah. So then Kratos, this would scale to Kratos, and there's no proof that there's a beyond infinite level increase in power. And even if you want to say that, okay, Zeus is not that powerful, why Kratos cannot touch the flame himself, and he scales to the flame, and he scales to Zeus, who scales to the flame? Well, basically that is because Zeus is using it as a power source. Not necessarily the entire thing applies to him. He's just using it he's just taking bits of the power of the flame. Then they would not scale fully to the flame, but even if you take a slice of a three-dimensional cake, you would still have a three-dimensional slice of that cake. So it doesn't matter power. Moving to speed. Okay, so easily the primordials move because I have a calc that actually proves I'm faster than light at bare minimum. Then we have statements of the words of Zeus with the essence of Hyperion, we're being able to move at speeds of light and so forth. So after that, we have heavy implications that time did not exist until the birth of Kronos. We have basically saying that the father and son cycle of sons killing their fathers started with the beginning of time, implying Kronos. It only started when Kronos was born. And Ariel Lawrence also says that time only began being a measurement after Kronos was born. Also, Thanatos' realm, it's also stated to have existed since before the era of the Titans, so before Kronos was born as well. This makes sense as in the art presentation. We see that between the time lapses, when Kratos entered the domain of death, no time actually passes. You can see that the time is literally the exact same as if nothing happened. Like basically no time as well, he was in the domain of death, further supporting that the dimension is basically unbounded by time since it existed before Kronos was born. So solidifying like inaccessible speed for them. We also have a statement for the Titans being comparable to the primordials, so they would all scale to this inaccessible speed. After this, Kratos would also scale. The Furies were also born right in the primordial war before time was even created. So then, yes, Kratos fights the Furies, so he would scale as well. he would upscale from them. After this, we have the Auroboro Stone, which is described as being able to manipulate the flow of time in various ways. It can go back in time.
5
It can turn
minutes.
things back. What? 5 minutes? Okay. It can go back in time. It can just reverse things. It can go forward as well. We can see it in quick time events how it can it's actually able to move the flow of time freely. We have actually a statement. It also works on living beings. It can age things and just control time overall. It's just time manipulation. And then Kratos is stated to be immediate affect him.
No, was it me or did you
So
lag
that would
there?
apply for higher levels of speed, even beyond. So it would apply
I
for
think-
higher levels of speed, immeasurable at this point. So okay, for hexes, Kratos is now bounded by the laws of physics. It's stated that the reason why he can double jump is basically because he's unbounded by the laws of physics and he just creates his own laws overall. So the laws of physics shouldn't any ability that should relate to manipulating the laws of physics or physicality, whatever, in that degree shouldn't be a problem for Kratos since he's already above the laws of physics and he abides by his own laws. So then after that, we have the souls of Hades imbued in the blades of chaos. These blades can vaporize your enemies. This would include body. The entire body of your enemy will be vaporized. Then we have him being resistant to the claws of Hades, which can actually just transmutate souls and transmutate entire bodies and just turn them into mindless souls, showing a level of reality warping and mind manipulation. Kratos in the novels, even before Ascension, was able to resist the effect of these things. After this, the Furies are also reality warpings. They can grab things that do not exist or imagination and just turn them into a real life threat. Then they can reality warp the Hecatonkris himself, who Kratos fought and proved being superior to him as well. Kratos also has his rage amps. He can become stronger as he rages on. Also, we have the Blades of Chaos being able to absorb life from the enemies. They also grant the life of their enemies to Kratos. So when he hits you with the Blades of Chaos, he's actually gaining your life force and becoming stronger with it. Becoming stronger or regenerating himself. Are able to sear they're able to sear on Kratos' skin, and he's not able to regenerate them overall. Over the years, he has never shown to be able to regenerate those scars or anything, and these were caused by the Blades of Chaos. So they should have regeneration negation as well. The Auroboro Stone is actually the Auroboro Stone can also age enemies as well. He can control the flow of time with it, go forwards or backwards in time. It can actually work on even on beings that are like unbounded by the flow of time as well as the Furies. So it's a higher level of time manipulation than the regular. So even if your character has resistance or is unbounded by time, then it would still not matter because the Auroboro Stone is still able to manipulate beings who are unbounded by time. I think, yeah. Also, the Blaze of Chaos gave Kratos another
1
boost
minute.
in power as well. Yeah, the Blaze of Chaos also gave Kratos a boost in power as well. He has immortality. He's bound to never die. He will resurrect eventually when he's killed. He's stated to not be able to die at all. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I need.
So we're done?
Yes.
Nothing more to add?
No, nothing more to add. No.
Perfect. I'm stopping the time. So now we move on to the three discussions. Who wants to go first? Remember, whoever goes first has 5 minutes.
Okay, so I just have to discuss my problems with his scaling.
Discuss whatever you want. You've got 5 minutes.
Okay. So I want to start. Okay, I want to start addressing like the transcending time statement. The job role actually implies it only works. The gameplay actually implies that the only thing it does is that it just basically resets the puzzle. So the actual context is just going backwards in time. It's an usual trope in the current era to just call like being able to just move, go back in time or go forward in time, actually transcending a temporal dimension, which is not at all the same thing. So basically, I do have that problem with that. It's not exactly the same thing as transcending the temporal dimension. Even so, it wouldn't apply for AP regardless, because transcending the temporal dimension is nothing without like the spatial dimension. After that, so I don't know where he got Dante being able to move in reverse time. I would need proof for that declaration. I need proof for that as well. For existence erasure as well, I need proof for that claim too. So yeah, basically, yeah, him. Also, I don't think Dante scales to Mundus at all, since Arkham, it's clearly stated to not be able to control Sparta's power very well. And Dante actually needs help from Virgil to actually fight a an unquantifiably weaker Sparta, basically, on Arkham. He needs the help from Virgil. So they shouldn't really scale to the rest of the cosmology, since they just shouldn't scale to Mundus in any way. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
You have no more contentions? That's all you've got so far?
Yeah, I got no more contentions.
Alright, perfect. Mangler, unmute yourself, it's your turn.
Okay. So for the light puzzle thing, that's actually rather easy to explain. So the Japanese rule actually makes it more blatant because it literally says, pour your strength into me, and it sends the 4 crystal lights back in time. Well, it says pour your strength into me, and the crystal light will lead you back in time, and the light will appear. So the problem with saying that this isn't like, I wasn't trying to use it for AP, I was trying to use it for speed specifically. But this statement is just to indicate that Dante's like raw strength can completely ignore the flow of time if he chooses it to. Like it's not bound by that in like any capacity whatsoever. And what's furthermore is that these crests that Dante hits are also activated in response to like a sword's power. So in this case, rebellion, just the physical manifestation of his strength. So as far as don't understand where reverse time comes from, that comes from the mirror world. The mirror world is a dimension that flows in reverse. Nobodies and other lesser demons can just like move there. So like Dante would scale above them from the feats that he's done in DMC 3. So yeah, he'd be capable of moving there as well. Proof for existence erasure. Hold on one sec. Let me jump up real quick to the scans. So for existence erasure, hang on, I'll get here soon. Oh my God, there are so many. Hold on one moment. There we go. So for existence erasure, that's actually pretty simple. So Dante's attacks are capable of targeting the soul and destroying the soul, as well as destroying the body. And typically speaking, when it comes to like declarations of like or I guess the definitions of what it takes to qualify for regenerating from existence erasure. Basically, you have to regenerate just the body and the soul. A more complete version would be the mind, but he's also capable of affecting that as well. Beowulf's descriptions in the gauntlets confirm that he's capable of essentially destroying it, or at least Virgil was, whom he scales to, till there was nothing left of his body. And the devil arms, which you make, are also referred to as like the pure embodiments of a demon. So he would be capable of that would qualify for existence erasure, as it is essentially their entire essence. There also are other arguments for him doing that, but that's gonna a little bit more hard to explain. As far as I think you had a contention with like them scaling to Mundus. So what I said specifically was that them scaling to even a fraction of like Sparta's strength would scale above most areas in the demon world. Obviously, by narration, well, most so by like beats rather. They don't scale to like the Mundus and DMC1, but that's only applicable to like base Dante. That wouldn't be applicable to what, or that wouldn't be applicable to what Yamato, the level of power that Yamato could give him. That wouldn't. That would only apply in the moment, presently, and it's not necessary for my argument. So, yeah.
My turn. Okay.
Have you
So
ended- so if you've ended your statement, I'll restart the counter. 3, 2, 1, go.
okay. So my problem with them even scaling to a fraction of Sparta. Yes, Sparta should usually scale to any should scale above any regular demon. Like fodder demon should be like easily below him. The problem is that it isn't quantifiable to know how much power of Sparta like Arkham really possessed at the time. He just wasn't able to handle it very well, and he wasn't able to use the full power of Sparta. It's just an unquantifiable feat because we don't really know how much power from Sparta Arkham really had access to. So we really don't know. We can't even really say that he scaled above most of the demons in the demon world or anything, because we don't really know how much power was being used. It was an unquantifiable. It is totally unquantifiable, so it doesn't matter. Even if you had the power of Sparta, a little fraction of the power of Sparta can still be as weak as Dante, who was not scaling above Mundus at the time. So yeah, it really doesn't matter because it's just unquantifiable. And then regarding the time thing, so I also want a scan confirming that the netherworld has reverse time on anything like this. Like it moving like in reverse is just I just have contentions with that. So also pour your strength into me and the crystal path that leads you back in time. I think it is pretty blatant that he would need this artifact to even move backwards in time. Like he basically needs to pour his strength, his power into the crystal. It's like you pouring your strength into an artifact, and the artifact just does the rest of the work for you. It basically goes back in time for Dante, since he's pouring the power into the crystal. I think that's a more valid interpretation of whatever is going on here. And I think it is not even battle applicable because I already explained that. It's like you pouring your power into an artifact. He's not transcending time himself. He's just using it to reset the puzzle. It's like pretty blatant what's happening. Just pouring his power into it, so the artifact just moves him backwards in time. There's no actual proof that Dante's power. He's doing it with his raw power right there. He actually needs to pour his power into the crystal to even go back through time. So yeah, I totally disagree with that as well. So yeah, regarding existence erasure, so yeah, so them being able to target souls and destroy them would not entirely qualify for like existence erasure. So existence erasure is basically like both. It would qualify for both like you need to be able to destroy body, mind, soul, all of this. Mind counts as well. You have to be able to destroy that as well. And yeah, I don't see that affecting. I don't see that being the case for this, unless you want to further explain what's actually happening. But yeah, them targeting the soul is not. I don't see that as like existence erasure. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to tackle for now.
So you're done with your counterpoints?
Yes.
Okay. I'm resetting the clock. Mangler, 3, 2, 1, go.
So you said it was impossible to quantify how much power Arkham got from the Force Edge. So if you're scaling something to tier 2, you've already moved into the 4th dimensional category of AP. So any fraction that would be there would be beyond an infinite degree higher than the 3rd dimension. It wouldn't matter if I needed a direct statement. This is just kind of like claiming that like I need something so blatant. I don't. That's not necessary to prove that. As far as the reverse time scan, I believe I posted the scan for this in the speed section, though I'll apologize for not being able to separate some of these. Yes, it's up here. Just basically refers to the mirror world moving in reverse. So the mirror bedroom is a replica of the master bedroom reversed, but the shop statue has no power in this alternate dimension. The patio doors are back though, so step through the fake doors. So in this dimension, basically everything flows in reverse. The entire space flows in reverse. The sun itself literally absorbs light instead of emitting it directly. So everything there would be operating under reversed rules, and that would include time as well. It's so as far as the artifact, Dante needed an artifact to move backwards in time that wouldn't be battle applicable. There's no proof he's doing it with his own power. Well, I just stated that the double crests, the device that's used to activate the artifacts, are literally supported by a sword's power, and Dante's rebellion is stated to be the physical manifestation of his power. So he is literally pouring his strength into it and fueling it directly. So he's definitely doing it via his own strength. As far as it not being like combat applicable, well, I kind of already posted this like up above, but I guess I'll explain how it's relevant now. Dante has this wonderful little ability called Self-Actualization, as do most demons, where they can basically manifest powers and abilities that become reality from their dark desires in their consciousness, and it can be based on anything that they want. Typically, it's more effective when they have intelligence to enter it. This is why most demons are pretty limited in it, but Dante can obviously do this a lot more effectively since he has like some actual intellect to come along with this. So if he wanted to interact with a person that was moving beyond linear time, then yeah, he could do that. Demonic power would grant him the ability to move that fast. I believe claimed that Dante doesn't have existence erasure because the mind isn't mentioned. So when I'm referring to like the pure embodiment of this would be referring to like their existence. But if we want to go like further, I mean, it is worth noting that like Dante just on like Dante is also capable of like affecting not just like demon souls but their names, which define the concept of their existence. So even if you wanted to say he couldn't like affect it to that degree, I disagree though. On that basis, he can affect their existence on a conceptual level. And then furthermore, Dante also has feats where he can directly scale above characters and demons that can just destroy your mind just by being in contact with you, such as the Prides. And Virgil, who is capable of
1 minute.
illusions, heard, is also capable of interacting with these illusions directly and destroying them. So when Dante's attacks hit you, he would be capable of hitting your soul as well as your mind. So I wouldn't even need like I wouldn't need more evidence than that. Should be sufficient.
Do you have any more points, or is that all?
I think that's all. I'm just responding to claims, really.
Time's reset. Ken, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so for starters, he said that it is true that if you have a fourth dimensional power, even if like we don't have a total quantification of how much power it is he's using, it would still be a fourth dimensional slice. Therefore, it would still scale to fourth dimensional. Though we don't have any fourth dimensional feats in DMC. I don't know why you would say that it is fourth dimensional. If do you think like my question is that if you think that space times like a spatial dimension plus a temporal dimension, it equates to a fourth dimension. I don't know what you would think that you would have to prove that a temporal dimension adds to an extra special dimension and explain why. Otherwise, they're just three-dimensional, and it's just a three-dimensional feat, an unquantifiable three-dimensional feat at that. So yeah, I don't think they're fourth-dimensional. Like you still remain to prove that. So yeah, after that, what I would like to other thing I would like to address is like the time thing. Again, I still don't see how. I will just restate that it is not battle applicable with that gem specifically. If Dante can do something else with time, whatever entirely, it doesn't matter. It's cool to me. But I'm just wanted to make it clear that he does need to pour his power into this artifact for it to work. So it's me like pouring my power or my energy into some weird object, and it just activates and just makes something happen. The way I actually scale to it is my actual ability, is my actual hacks. No, it is more like just Dante pouring his energy into it to make it work or to make it function. That's a better interpretation to my eyes. So, and Dante being able, like, demonic energy being able to, like, just grant them, like, basically grant them wishes. If they want something, like, it just manifests with demonic power. Okay, I can. If you want to argue that, that's perfectly fine, but I don't see how that would grant him like immeasurable speed right off the bat. You would have to prove that he can do it to that extent, that he can just grant him a higher level of speed than what he has been shown to. You can just, it's like me saying like, oh, Kratos has this ability to grant himself wishes. So if he wants to be this powerful, he will be that powerful. Okay, this would apply to anything he has shown already. But would I say that Kratos can just wish to be Auroboro or just wish to be like any higher dimensional of power he wants to be? No, I would have to substantiate it with proof, right? So after that, I just want to, you have to prove that he can actually grant himself like immeasurable speed to just battle beings who move beyond linear time. So the netherworld, again, this them being able to just things moving backwards, that could be like just the space moving backwards. Am I gonna maybe, so can you prove that the actual time is moving backwards? I know that you might reply with, well, everything is moving backwards, but yeah, everything we see is moving backwards, or at least it is implied to move it that way. But I would say that you would have to actually prove that time is moving backwards. And even if you're able to prove that time is moving backwards, that could just be a resistance to manipulation of time. You would have to prove that they're doing it with raw speed. Otherwise, it is just resistance to time manipulation or time dilations, or that they can just exist in that dimension of time. That wouldn't imply immeasurable speed at all. That would just mean that they're like immune to it. You would have to prove that they're doing it with raw speed. Otherwise, it just doesn't work at all. And it's a blitz. So after that, with the existence erasures thing, so okay, he can erase. He can. I still need him. So you're saying that he can basically interact with demons in a conceptual level, basically destroying their entire being, which is, I think that's
1
okay.
minute.
If you wanna go that route, then yeah, that can grant existence erasure. Regardless of this, Kratos should be just way higher than Dante anyways, because he would scale to Ascended Athena, who's an actual higher existential being, like fourth dimensional or fifth dimensional, whatever you wanna make it. So he would be inaccessibly stronger than Dante. So this would mean also hexes have potencies. You would need to prove that Dante's hexes can affect in a fourth or a higher dimensional scale for it to even work on Kratos in the first place. Most of his hexes. So Kratos, who scales to higher dimensional beings, would have his AP on that level. So he would need to bypass that AP. So spatial manipulation wouldn't work either, since he operates in a higher dimension as well. He's AP would scale to a higher dimension. So Yamato being able, done.
Close your save. You 5, 4, 3.
Okay. So Yamato wouldn't work because it's a lower spatial dimension. No.
Mangler, your turn. 3, 2, 1, go. Wait, what?
We have a statement from the judge.
All right.
Was
Are
that
you
a
ready, Mangler?
rule? Wait, was that a rule or something? Because just make sure. What a rule?
I have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like more so. Like I've seen debates like kind of happen like this, but like I feel like that's more so on the person. I think he should like try to attack his arguments now in this 5 minutes.
I have like 20 something. I will have like 20 plus minutes to be here. So can we go like fast?
So,
Okay, if that's the case, then yeah.
Okay, well,
all right, Mangler, you ready?
yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin.
I'm going to respond to some of the claims that were made. There aren't any fourth dimensional feats in DMC. This is blatantly wrong. First of all, time has been consistently referred to as the fourth dimension by the theory of relativity. Hasn't been refuted by the scientific community yet with a replacement theory in its place, and you would need to prove that that's the case. Time, the theory of relativity specifically specifies time-space as the fourth dimension, and all the statements accommodating most of the demon world's interactions specifically involve fucking with time-space, well, affecting space and time. Garion, as an example, is just a very blatant example of this, where just staying in the demon world for centuries caused him to be able to fuck with time. The demon world moving into the human world causes time to stop, causes it to be warped directly just by making contact with it. The Samsara, which was built to navigate the demon world, literally manipulates time-space fabrics. And the fact is like, it's these are just some of the examples that I can give. There are so many that can demonstrate the demon world and various portions of the demon world, as well as demons in them, being able to perform these feats very casually. You basically reiterated the same claim about the devil crest, that you just think it's a bit to fill a function. I already addressed this. Again, it's literally stated to be his strength and transcending time, and I provided the context for it, so I'm not going to address something I already debunked. Seem to have a problem with understanding how demonic power can get greater power than he demonstrated. So, as an example, both the Fury and the Lucicina had never demonstrated those powers and capabilities prior to this, and then after they were after their demonic desires were fulfilled, they were more than capable of demonstrating those abilities. Like the Fury was just a basic fucking lizard that has no concept of how speed actually works, and now it's able to like move across space and time directly. So the Lucicia didn't understand like the properties of magic, and now it can use fire, blizzard, and like thunder magic essentially, with like no, with very little effort. So Dante, who also has access to demonic power, would be capable of doing this in a much greater degree since his intelligence is factored. It's also worth noting demonic power doesn't require you to have an actual understanding of what you're ascending to, as they're just basic. Most basic demons don't have intelligence, at least significant intelligence. And then you wanted to ask me if I could prove if everything was moving in time. I kind of just did. Like, if everything in the spatial dimension is moving backwards in time, or is moving backwards in the space, we would assume time is flowing in that manner, especially if you believe that time isn't the fourth dimension, because you'd be operating under the assumption that the only way that we view time is through space. Even if I did, that would just be time manipulation. Garion exists and is capable of manipulating demons who can move in these areas, so that disqualifies the argument for it being like time manipulation. Also, the dimension itself is not being manipulated by like other flows of time or other people in this case. It's just naturally moving in that direction. So nothing in sort of shenanigans involving time are happening here. It just exists in that way. And even if it did, like Kratos would scale to a higher dimensional and send it Athena. So I took a problem with this initially, but like you never proved that realms were referring to dimensionality. There's never a time where that's like interchangeable. As
1
well,
minute.
or as well as like Ascension Kratos scaling of that is I consider that to be wildly inaccurate given his feats in like later games chronologically and how far he struggles to keep up with even like weaker gods than that. So yeah. I'd say that's it for my retorts.
Closing statements.
I have none at the moment.
Yeah, it is getting warm.
My turn. My turn.
Yes. Just let me reset the clock. I just had somebody come into the house. You can go now, Ken.
I can go now.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, he's using a theory to basically say that, okay, since this theory says that time and space, that time should be the fourth dimension, then it should be right. Which is basically him appealing to an authority to basically support his claims. I asked him to explain why a temporal dimension would amount to an extra special dimension. Right. I asked him to prove that. I asked him to explain why that was the case. I do disagree that time is the fourth dimension. I have that contention with that. I don't agree to that at all. So I just want him to explain why he thinks that an extra temporal dimension would equate to an extra special dimension as well. When all dimensions have time, literally all dimensions move with time, basically. Time exists in all dimensions. So just saying that, oh, 3 dimensions plus 1 temporal dimension is now just magically a spatial dimension. Yeah, I want you to explain that. Just because somebody says that, oh, it's the 4th dimension, some theory. It's not even something like it's just running a theory again. So not because it says that it's that way. I totally disagree with that. I don't see any reason for why a temporal dimension would equate to an extra special dimension. You would have to prove that with an actual explanation. You would have to explain why that is the case, which you haven't. I asked you to do it, but you didn't. Okay. So yeah, regarding what he talked about, he said that there's no proof that realm and dimensions are interchangeable. This is also wrong, since I already provided a scan basically supporting how Corey refers to the higher plane of existence as a higher realm. He literally calls it a realm, basically referring to it as a higher dimension. So realm and dimension, it is interchangeable. So since Corey himself uses both words interchangeably, higher existence and higher realm, they're both used interchangeably. So yeah, I will also be providing the scan for that as well. Right here. So yeah, dimension and realm, they both can be used interchangeably. So it does not. It's totally fake. Yes, I provided evidence for that as well. So the netherworld being able to move in reverse time, whatever. Yeah, I still don't see how you have proved that it can basically. Yeah, you have to prove that they're doing it with raw speed, and that is not just not a resistance. Like, you don't have to be manipulated with time. You don't need someone manipulating your time to prove that you can resist time manipulation, a resistance to toxins or whatever. Yeah. So the time moves backwards. You have to prove that their raw speed is what's causing them to basically not be affected, and not just a resistance to time dilation or time reversal or whatever. Otherwise, it is just a resistance. Otherwise, we go with the least amount of assumptions. Basically. Wait, what? What happens in? Pause the clock. Pause the clock. Yes.
His program for. Okay. He's muted.
So he keeps saying, yeah. So he keeps saying that Kratos, not Kratos, Dante's power, basically he's pouring it into this artifact and basically granting him the power to move through time or whatever. I already explained why that's totally not the case. Like, I will leave it to the judges to decide that. Like, because he doesn't seem to. Like, I will not just keep repeating the same topic over and over again. The scam blatantly says that he's pouring his power in order for the artifact to go backwards in time. So that's all that's happening. He's just pouring his power, and the artifact is doing the rest of the work. That's basically all that's happening. Wait a second. Okay, so I'm back. The Fury, basically, the Fury. I have also contentions with the Fury being able to supposedly move through time. It's only stated that she does a little space-time jumps and that she warps next to you, basically implying just a dimensional jump. That it's just moving through dimensions to reach your opponent. It is implied that it's speed, but being just that fast is not the only way to interpret things. Like, you can get faster and not actually move with your raw speed. You can just find a faster way to move through and reach your opponents, basically, which is basically what the Fury is doing. It's just moving through space time, not literally just moving with raw speed through time. He would have to prove that it's actually moving through time with raw speed. Other than that, it's just his interpretation. And
I think the time is already up. Yeah.
Sorry, my mic was muted. Time's up.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready, Mangler?
Could be.
So you ready?
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Since I've been on the defensive for a while, I'm gonna go ahead and address the claims that were made in his opening statement. I mean, I already mentioned the stuff being realms being interchangeable with dimensions. He claimed that you needed to be powerful enough to reach Olympus. This is not necessarily true. We have even from the scan that my opponent provided, we have a direct statement that it takes 3 days to fall from Mount Olympus to the mortal plane, and the mortal plane to Hades. So we know they're not separated in any capacity by dimensions of time or space. You can literally just fucking crawl up them, especially with the case of the Titans. Even if we argue the Titans are vastly faster, there's nothing that's directly separating them in any capacity, and normal humans can fall from them left and right. Claim that there are multiple space-time continuums. Again, in order to have an actual space-time continuum, first of all, you need to demonstrate that there are actual dimensions of time and space. And the only thing that separates these is cloud covers, essentially, as shown in God of War 3, God of War Chains of Olympus, and I believe there are several examples in God of War 2 when Kratos falls off the Isle of Creation and he just lands where Atlas is. Oh, and then Ghost of Sparta is probably arguably a worse example of this with the Domain of Death, because it's supposed to be in a realm that exists outside of the basically the cosmology, but still in the cosmology. It's weird. It's supposed to be outside of the realm of Olympus and the realm of the mortals, and yet you can just kind of fucking fall out of it. You just fall out of it and fall out of the sky. That's all that really separates it. Nothing significant there to indicate that there's a dimensional barrier. Everything reverting to chaos once the world pillar is destroyed. I would just interpret that statement to mean like everything's going to shit because yeah, when the world pillar is literally physically supporting your cosmology, yeah, if it crashes down, that would indeed be chaos. And I'd say claiming all the titans would scale to one another. I mean, for the most part, I would say that's probably not correct given the feats we have about Atlas in God of War 2's novel, as like even with his feat, not only was he stated to be the strongest, like his feats alone, he stated that like his boulders when making contact with Hades could literally like severely injure him or cripple him. And Hades is like one of the um, strongest Olympians in the pantheon. There's also the problem of the chain of balance, which is directly attached to like this kind of goes back to the space time things I mentioned. Like you're separated by space and time, yet there's a physical chain that's literally attached from your realm to the underworld that people can climb. Regardless of whether or not we argue the chain is like infinite in length, it doesn't change the fact that like there's nothing between them that separates them as far as like a dimensional barrier or magic or something. So we wouldn't assume like the flow of time is significantly different. Also, flow of time being different in the underworld, that's blatantly untrue.
1 minute left.
That is literally disproven in God of War 1's novel when Kratos falls into the underworld after he gets killed by Ares because he recognizes several centaurs and several enemies that he killed, and they identify him. He also refers to them as familiar and then concurs their statement that they killed him several days ago after he had spent. This is also for context, several days after he spent time climbing Pandora's temple. So the time frame adds up quite well. And then I would say
20 seconds. Wrap it up.
I would say using the stating that the domain of death has like no time in it is blatantly incorrect. Debunked directly by both the fact that Deimos is literally
4,
and
3,
the statements
2,
in Deimos that are both
1.
correct.
Time's up. All right, boys. I'm gonna have to head out for a little bit. I'm out of time. If Kev would be so kind as to man the clock keeping duties.
Yeah, I'm doing it actually. Yeah. Oh damn. Bye, bro. Long down.
Okay, my turn. Okay, my turn.
Oh, I completely forgot. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Okay, yeah. Let me record it. Yeah, it depends whenever Ken needs to go, because like apparently he needs to. Yeah, he only has a job.
I need to go now. I need to go now.
Right now? Wow. Okay.
Yes. Okay, and then
Oh, yeah,
so
okay.
finishing statements. So finishing statements. Okay. Okay. So yeah, regarding like the underworld not being a Thanatos dimension not being a different space time, that is also blatantly false, and already has a different flow of time. And even you not having time, and if you want to point out that Demus is aging in there, that doesn't really matter. That just means he operates in a different flow of time than the regular. So that would basically respond to why he's aging in there. The dimension is still heavily implied to have no time. So that just means he moves in a in a different like flow of time entirely. So, and when you said that characters in God of War cannot have immeasurable speed in Ascension because of the scaling later, yeah, there's no. You have basically you're pointing out basically an inconsistency that doesn't exist, because basically pointing out an inconsistency is basically saying that something has been contradicted. And you pointed out like, oh, Kratos is being tagged by lesser gods or whatever. Yeah, that just means that those gods scale to immeasurable speed as well. That wouldn't debunk anything. That just means they scale as well. It's almost like saying like, oh, Goku can destroy a planet. Then he fights some random dude we don't know anything about, and that dude actually beats the shit out of Goku. Does that mean that Goku is now planet level? No, that just means that dude scales to Goku as well. So yeah, Kratos fights lesser gods later, and they're able to keep up with him. That just means those lesser gods have immeasurable speed as well. That doesn't debunk anything. So yeah, regarding like the Fury, he did not respond to the higher dimensional stuff. He actually stayed really quiet about that one. He wasn't able to prove that a spatial and a certain temporal dimension would equate to an extra spatial dimension. He actually never responded to that, so I will take that as an auto concession, as a RAW, because he just never addressed the point when I questioned him on it. He just never said. Yeah, okay. So after that, I just wanna finish up by saying, yeah, since he wasn't able to prove that DMC had any scaling higher than 3-dimensional, Kratos would stomp via just being higher dimensional overall. Since being a higher dimension would mean that he's inaccessibly stronger than all of them, so hexes that have potencies would not apply. He failed to prove that they had DMC had immeasurable speed. Since the Fury, he never addressed the Fury point when I gave him my interpretation of the statement that the Fury warps next to you, not necessarily traveling through time and space via raw speed, just warping through dimensions. Basically, he never replied to that either. So yeah, he failed to prove that they had immeasurable speed. Also, the Netherworld, that world is also. He also failed to prove that they're doing it with raw speed. He actually ignored my questioning on that as well. He just ignored it entirely. I never said anything about it. So they wouldn't. So yeah, he failed to prove that it had immeasurable speed. So it is still a blitz for Kratos, and he has the higher AP because of the higher dimensional powers that he has, scaling to Ascended Athena, basically. So from that, I would say that Kratos just easily stomps via just being way higher in AP and just way faster, since he failed to prove that they were even comparable. That's my closest statement. And I'll leave it to the judges.
All right, okay. Yeah, 1 minute 38. Okay, so that is it, right?
Yes, I gotta go.
Okay. I guess Mangler's turn. Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, I'm gonna count down to 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Okay, so for the reasons I didn't respond to most of the claims, that's mainly due to time right now. Kind of already spent a ridiculous amount of time like posting all the scans. As far as like your information regarding the mirror world, like I already addressed that directly. I already explained why it would be time manipulation. I already explained like the properties of the dimension moving in reverse, so time would scale in that capacity as well. As far as your interpretation of the Fury just like warping, if you watch the cutscene, Fury is literally like running and accelerating and moving with momentum with the intent. He's also a reptile, so naturally, when he's attempting to move, he would be accelerating by running with his feet. You would never assume, even if he got the powers and abilities to warp directly, that it would start from an accelerated standpoint, especially when he's literally showing that he has to start moving in that degree. As far as the domain of death being heavily implied to be timeless, no, it's not. The color keys like state that, but like, I find that contentious with the assumption that like Deimos is operating under a different flow of time. It was literally stated that he has years of captivity that he's addressing. Like we don't have any evidence that Deimos himself is operating under a different flow of time. You'd just be basically using the domain of death to attempt to argue that when the domain of death never has a direct statement that it's moving for that. Color keys is essentially the only piece of evidence. And the color keys, I might add, are a very suspicious piece of information to be used. Not only do I not consider them an official source because they're not listed anywhere in the games, the novels, or the guidebooks, these are actually concept art pictures that are taken directly from the game and organized from the color keys gallery, but they don't actually have time listings to them in the official game. So I find that extremely suspicious and convenient. As far as like dimension, like Kratos being able to beat him because he's like higher dimensional and DMC not being 4D, like the theory of relativity, like as far as like a theory, is the accepted premise for the fourth dimension by the scientific community. It is considered, it's not just like popular, it's considered consensus. In order to debunk consensus, you need actual evidence, and then after you address that, you then need to get it approved and submitted across the world to various academia to get and then it needs to be peer reviewed. There's a long process to get that approved. I'll admit I have a difficult time explaining how it works, but that's mainly because trying to understand physics is extremely difficult and complicated. I just know right now it is the accepted premise, and there is no evidence right now that can directly address it, and is capable of doing so. As well as the fact that it has not been readdressed or refuted by the very physicists who have presented it and been in support of it. So I'm gonna need like some more evidence other than like I don't accept time as the fourth dimension. And then I would say the underworld, like I have some more conventions. The underworld, him scaling to ascended Athena, I don't consider that accurate in the slightest. And ascended Athena's statement of moving to a higher existence, nothing clarifies that the higher dimension, the higher existence that she's operating within is like a higher spatial dimension. Like the specific point of her statement is about her sacrifice, so it's something of like noble value. It has nothing to do with like spatial temporal stuff. She's also like featless in the game, and she does nothing to actually demonstrate what she's capable of in this capacity. Arguing that she'll be burned to death by the flame of Olympus is also not like applicable, because she also gets Kratos to do a lot of things that naturally she should be capable of doing herself. But again, she's completely feetless. We don't know what she's capable of doing in that form because we get no details outside of her statement and Corey's statement, just where she came from. We don't even know any details about that space at all. We have so little evidence to prove like what she'd be capable of doing. Just assert that like the flame of Olympus would scale above her. Kind of ridiculous. Then
Oh, by the way, the yeah, it's done. The 5-minute mark is done. So,
damn.
He left like while like in the middle of you talking. So yeah, he really had to go.
I noticed. Unfortunately.
Those were closing statements anyway, so.
A minute warning? What do you mean?
I think he just stopped. I don't
Yeah,
think.
he just dipped. Yeah, like in the middle of when he was talking.
He said he had to go. It might have been urgent.
Oh, that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if you guys want to like, I don't know, postpone the debate or not, since he did leave, and you guys couldn't like review each other's points correctly. So.
Yes. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of go off of like a first impressions kind of thing, and then if there's more of a debate later, we can reassess.
I would agree with this.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right, do I stop recording or what do we do?
Oh my god, I was muted the entire time. No one understood what the fuck I was saying in the video. Okay, so
oh wow.
you can go ahead and keep recording if you want. This will be the judges talking. If you want to put some maybe like text in there, maybe just to give your comments, you can. But like for now, this will be the judges talking. And I'm gonna be honest here. I I'm more confused than I thought I was ever going to be in this debate.
Wait, what'd you say? I'm sorry. Wait, you're more confused on what?
Hang on, let me get a little closer. Could you mute your mic, Kev, so that way it's not like causing sound while we're talking? Thank you. Okay, boys. I'm gonna start off with what I think the elephant in the room is. Kenlyam doesn't agree with both the scientific community and the versus debating community on what the fourth dimension is.
Yeah,
I was not ready for that.
So, like, Kenlyam was, for me, like, giving pretty good points for a while, and I was actually kind of, like, leaning more towards Kenlyam for a bit. And then that shit popped up, and then it just slowly started to decline for me. Because, like, in both, like, fiction and reality, like, that's a very, like, consistent thing that people believe. Even if you don't agree with, like, the scientific community on that, even if that science was a little sketchy, most of the fictional worlds consider time to be the fourth dimension. And
I was not
so
prepared
on both the real
for
and
that
fictional
one.
side, like, Kenlyam kind of lost me on that point. And then things just started to...
Okay, so I will start off by giving my honest opinion that I think Mangler's performance was poor as hell. I think we can all agree on that one. I thought Mangler performed very poorly. Edgar, do you want to comment on anything?
Yeah, I'm kind of mixed on both sides of them, like on different points.
So I did do my best to write down their points as best as possible. Like, here, let me actually share with you guys what I have. I don't know if you guys were doing that, but I was doing my best. So this is basically this is like a TLDR of all of Mangler's points and a TLDR of all of Ken's points. So, okay, so I guess I'll start at the very beginning. So right off the bat, I have to be frank here. Kenlyam's opinion on the fourth dimension, I'm not going to agree with that at all, because that's literally against both the science, which gives us dimensional tearing, and everything else. So Kenlyam's claims for higher dimensionality, they don't...
It's not just against, like, the scientific community. It's against the versus debating community.
Yeah, at that point, I can't give that point at all. So his argument for Kratos being higher dimensionality and weighing like that, that by itself is not going to exist here anymore, because he can't argue Dante's three-dimensional with that criteria. If he wants to believe that, that's fine, but I don't think it'd be fair to do that when that'd be going against the standard convention of almost everything else. So the first kind of very surprised that immeasurable speed was the main battleground for this debate. I thought it was going to be like inaccessible, but no, it seems the main debate was debating immeasurable speed for the weakest version of the characters.
Jesus.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. Oh my, that is fucking fantastic. Well, so okay, so.
Okay, so what was Kenlyam's main point on immeasurable speed for Kratos?
Here, let me see if I have it.
Edgar, do you remember it all?
I heard it briefly. I didn't catch that much of it, honestly.
I don't see any feats there that he brought up.
I think it was mostly based on Kratos scaling to Kronos, who like created time.
That's not an immeasurable speed feat though. Because again, I know other information on both these sides of the argument, but they didn't bring up any of the supporting claims that would have helped out, at least on God War's side, to help out with that. Based on everything he gave, I'm trying to think if there was a... Because he talks about timeless voids and everything, which would be inaccessible speed, and that's it. I think he brought up... He didn't even bring in Castor and Pollux all that much, so I don't... Do I not have that in my notes? Hang on, let me make sure. Well, I started taking notes when they started debating back and forth. Let me see if yeah, I don't know where immeasurable speed came from. What about his scans that he dropped? Did he drop any immeasurable speed scans that you guys are aware of?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, can you highlight them, and also I guess Try not to give too much of your own opinion while you're like pointing them out.
Yeah, of course. I'm just gonna post the scans if that's all right. Not really.
Wait.
Bring up his argument.
Were the scans posted already or no?
Yes, I believe it was. Yeah.
Can you just
post? I should be able to remember them.
I'll say, can you just like well?
I think I saw all of this.
Well, I'm scrolling up and I'm not seeing any like speed scans here. Or here, let me just look up.
It's probably lost in all the mush.
Hold up. Let me see. It should be somewhere in like the Twitter scans, right? So I could try to find that.
I was gonna say, if you can scroll up, because I want to make it clear, if the scan exists and he didn't present it, we can't use it. Because that wouldn't be fair to
Yeah, so pretty much, yeah, he sent like a Twitter scan, I believe, so yeah, let me just get that real quick.
Okay, so can you, alright, so let's see what he has. So on the meantime, I couldn't help but notice that I don't think in any of the rebuttals did Kenlyam actually ever address Athena not being, or Athena's higher dimensionality thing, but I don't remember if Mangler, I don't think Mangler did that before his finishing statement.
Like a higher dimensionality for.
Well, because one of his arguments was that they all scale to ascended Athena, which, according to Kenlyam, would be a higher dimensional being. Assuming he scales the God of War cosmology, the 4D, he's arguing ascended Athena as 5D. I do have to agree with them, and with Mangler, she has no feats, and she also never really does anything, and I don't even.
I don't know much about God of War, but I have seen the cutscenes before. I don't remember a lot of them, but I don't really remember Athena doing much.
Like, you could just argue, and I think that's kind of.
You could argue that she might scale to some of the other gods at, for the most part.
I'm trying to not bring it in.
Mangler. If what Mangler said was true, and that was mostly in reference to her sacrifice, I don't know whether or not it is.
The lines of dialogue, and I think everyone can agree with me here, are in reference to her sacrifice. She says this to Kratos when they meet for the first time in Hades, but that's where she says also, "I reach a higher plane of existence." There's nothing to support that, and if you argue the flame scales to her, because he was arguing that Zeus scales to the power of the flame, or that he uses the power of the flame. If it can kill Athena, and it's like, fuck, I know more information that they don't directly give on either side, so I have to be careful with how I word this. Athena shouldn't be more powerful than anything else by any capacity then, because he's basically arguing from word go they're at that level of power. So Athena's higher plane is kind of invalidated by his own scaling, so that wouldn't even be applicable to anything.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that.
So, based on the way he scaled it, Athena's a non-factor. So the question is, he didn't really prove God of War being a fifth dimensional universe or anything by himself, which he did throwing around a lot of blatancy. He didn't respond at all to any of Mangler's counterpoints that all of the realms are connected physically and aren't separated dimensionally, which ruins a lot of his dimensional scaling arguments earlier in the debate.
Yeah, especially when Mangler even posted the scans of his own that show that everything seems connected and not separated.
Yeah, he brought up the chain. Kenlyam's own scan confirms you can literally fall from Olympus down to the mortal realm and even to Hades. So it's not just that Olympus isn't separated. Based on that scan, yeah, none of them are separated. So there's not separate space-times being involved.
By the way, Ken said he could join for a short bit, but
no,
you guys are judging right now, so
at this point, this is judging.
We're going to the judging.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm gonna be allowed.
Yeah. Good.
I will definitely agree that the way he presented it and the way he argued, he definitely didn't counter that.
Kev, can you please mute yourself so there's not reverb? Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I was cringing the entire fucking time Mangler was talking. Holy shit! I think we can all agree, maybe, or at least the people who know more. We might have been able to do a better job, but we have to talk about the pieces they gave us. Oh, it was terrible. Oh, my ears. My ears. Okay, so
So-
I wanna. Oh well, go ahead, Excalibur.
Oh, no, never mind. You can go. I
Well,
was.
I was gonna
about
ask
to-
you
I was
how do
about
you
to
guys?
think
Oh, what?
of- Shit.
I'm terrible at this. I was gonna ask, how did you guys feel about the Deimos situation?
The Deimos.
So at the very end, Kenlyam argued that Deimos' realm is timeless and there's no time passing through it. He argues that Deimos is being affected by a separate flow of time. Mangler stated there was no evidence for that, and that Deimos aged in this timeless realm, which would imply a passing of time as a whole.
I mean, if Deimos aged in that realm, then that kind of like seals the cap, doesn't it? Like it kind of proves that like there is time in that area.
Okay, so
Unless there's like a direct statement that
okay,
his own realm
so
is timeless.
did he post a scan that the realm was timeless or no?
He posted scans that he used to imply that, to make implications towards that idea.
I'm gonna have to be.
Do you mind posting him? And
I'm going to state this right
Look
now,
at him.
just for the record. Now, obviously, you guys can have your own opinions, but given how hard he was on Mangler for not being explicitly direct, if we don't have a direct statement, I'm going to be like, by his own logic, we shouldn't be accepting it. But that's up to you guys. I will point out that he was very aggressive when it came to implications.
Yeah, he was pretty aggressive. I did take note of that. Yeah.
He didn't really bring up Castor and Pollux at all, did he?
I think he did briefly.
it's this thing.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's
Mangler
all-
actually did address this in the final
Laws
statement.
outside of the realm of Olympus and the world of mortals that existed long before the rule of Titans and the Olympians, and remains one of the most feared places by both men and gods alike. It said it lies outside of it, but it doesn't say anything about it having its own time or having no time.
I would like to point out that
Yeah,
Mangler did address the scan below that one. Mangler claimed that was fake. So, and
He
to
did.
be fair, I was verifying scans with Mangler. We couldn't find that anywhere, even in the official material. We actually found the picture where that's from. None of the text was on that picture. So I don't know if maybe there's a separate like picture or file that we don't know about. It's entirely possible, but we could not find it anywhere. Just for context on that one, but Mangler did address that in his final statement.
Yeah, I would say that Mangler gets that point on verdict of the fact that Ken couldn't even address it.
So with that in mind, we talked about the more contentious God of War stuff. They're not separated by space, and actually, they didn't even. Did Kenlyam even bring in any universal like scaling feats, or did he just bring in the primordials? If I'm trying to remember.
I'm pretty sure it was mainly the primordials. He was like everything like scales to the primordials, and I think I saw like an interview scan or something like that, where somebody asked a developer something, and they're like, "Yeah, the Titans and the Olympians and the primordials."
Yeah, I think it was mainly the primordials and Atlas. I think that's what mainly came down to.
Atlas was the major one.
Okay.
Or, well, it was more the primordials than Atlas, but like Atlas.
So I will bring this up since I noticed for some reason Kenlyam did not talk about this. Mangler actually brought up evidence arguing that they don't scale to each other at all. When he brought up Atlas being able to like hurt like Hades with just boulders, that was meant to reference for that one, that they don't scale to each other. And that is a well, he did say it, but I can't go any further than that because I'm not going to try and give more information than he gave. So Kev did not dispute that as far as I'm aware, but let me check my notes again. Because Kev was mainly going after Dante's scale, or Ken, not Kev, my apologies, was mainly going after Dante's scaling.
Kev.
Poor Kev.
Sorry,
I gotta be honest, his biggest argument from what I'm looking at here is DMC's not 4D, but that's I doubt I was never prepared for that one. Mangler addressed all of his points, but then Kev just addressed them back. Okay, so what about you know what? Let's talk about some of the points he did address on DMC's side. Let's start off with the crystal thing. Are you familiar with what that is, Excalibur? I'm assuming Edgar, you are.
I'm not super familiar with it, but I like I don't know. It seems familiar. I think I saw it in like a gameplay footage of DMC3.
Okay, so
Point.
in DMC3 there are light puzzles you have to do. Now, if you
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. It was
Yeah.
saying that there were like puzzles that you have to activate.
Okay, so Kev argued that any time manipulation or speed based off that, since it directly, as the Japanese statement that Kenlyam decided to talk about.
Kev, come on, what?
What?
Yeah, you said Kev.
Oh.
It's whatever.
Kev, you no longer exist. You have been assimilated into the Kenlyam.
I mean, the N is just an upside
I am
down
the
B,
Kenlyam.
isn't it? It's the same thing.
You have done a Dragon Ball fusion.
So
You're
Mangler
Kev. You are Kevlam now.
Mangler
There you
did post the Japanese scan as well that Kenlyam was arguing would have like debunked this, that it does require Dante's raw power. It does pour his power into it to force the items back in time. Kenlam's claim was specifically that the object was doing it and that it has nothing to do with Dante, but the scan does directly state it's Dante's power that does the technical thing. Although, like, Kenlyam is correct that the device is what does it, but it's Dante's power that is powered by.
Feel it.
So that's what they stated. What are your guys' thoughts on that one?
Oh, Kenlon says the debate is postponed. So, but like,
Well, I mean,
anyway,
I don't know
once
what you
again,
guys are gonna do with that,
we're giving first impressions.
Well, I've already said like if they want to do like a more
Yeah.
in-depth one. Like I mean, we've already spent the hours. We're going to give a verdict.
Yeah.
And truth be told,
we've been here this entire time.
yeah, well,
I would agree that Mangler argued the point better.
all right. Which would be immeasurable, at least if it goes backwards in time. The mirror world. Kenlyam did point out very consistently that the mirror world does not have a direct statement of time being reversed. Mangler brought up that everything was already reversed. There was, I will be frank, there was a scan that I'm surprised Mangler didn't bring up, but obviously based on what do you guys think on that one?
Did he post a scan in the Discord?
He did. Let me check if he did. But even if he didn't, he was stating that the thing was reversed. I'm just saying there would have been a scan that could have supported that better. That's not there. So, just based off what Mangler told you guys, how do you feel about the mirror world and Kev's arguments against it?
I don't. Yeah, that one's a toughie.
I think it's tricky.
In terms of both the light puzzle and the mirror world, it's a little tricky. I could kind of be like swayed either way on that one. That one's a little tough. If he did post the scan that would explain it better in the Discord, and like if you could like post that to the bottom.
I'm checking to see if it's here, because if it's not,
then I would give that point to Mangler.
You know,
But like
I think
you guys both seem to agree on the puzzle thing as well. So you guys are the experts in DMC and DMC and God of War. So like I'll leave that one to you.
I think in terms of, I think when it comes to like the whole argument against like the mirror world, I think it could go either way. I will say that I think Ken did raise one good point that Mangler never did that, at least to what I remember, that Mangler never did state that like he passed through the mirror world with raw speed.
Okay, that is a fair point to bring up. Again, I'm gonna try and like not add anything. Okay, here we go. So
what I will say regarding speed is that I do agree with Mangler's talks about the Fury, because basically like the Fury did in fact just through running eventually like gain the power to like pass through space and time, if I'm not mistaken.
So he did, based on what Mangler presented, and that's what's described in the description.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was another scan. This is what Mangler did
Replica
post.
of the-
There was something else like in the game that could have helped out, but that's technically where he put it.
Okay. I did see this one.
Yeah, so it does say evil's a reflected property, meaning it's a reflection, but it also states that Dante can just, jump into the portal and move to the mirror room, but I mean, take that one as you will. I do think the mirror world one, I think Kev's forwardness there, or Ken's, not Kev's, was definitely a smart decision, because at the end of the day, there is no direct statement. It would just be based off context clues and such, so I think Ken did play that
I would
one
agree
well.
that the mirror world one is a little shaky.
Because like
You're right. It does technically not like say anything about time, being reversed, but it's just more that like kind of like the space is reversed. So
Yeah, so I
don't
mean,
know.
like, I can definitely...
once again, that one's a little shaky.
I can definitely see, like, yeah, that one has some issues. I don't think Kenlyam understood that every time he argued for the Fury, Mangler wasn't using the Fury to argue for speed. He was using it to argue for self-actualization. And
Yeah,
Kenlyam
exactly.
completely supported the self-actualization argument every time he mentioned the Fury. Which I was very surprised by. Okay, so what about the Arkham thing? Kenlyam brought up a good point that we don't know how much power from Arkham from Sparta is in Arkham, but Mangler did bring up the dimensional tiering, which would make Dante, fourth dimensional, and then Kenlyam decided to just nuke everything by saying 4D time isn't fourth dimensional.
Yeah.
So
That was the
based. Oh, good.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, so like based on like normal like standards, since that's what we most likely be. Well, that's what we seem to agree to go by. What do you guys think about Mangler's claim arguing that Dante's scale is like that high based on fighting Arkham Enhanced Sparta?
I would agree. I don't know. It's hard to say because like I want to agree because I do know how powerful Sparta is, but I shouldn't do that because like
in fairness,
that's like information that like wasn't brought in.
If I recall correctly, Mangler argues that Dante and Sparta are, or at least that the demon world is like, or I think he said Sparta was like 2C or 2B at the beginning.
Oh yeah, I think
Mangler did drop a scaling number or at least a tier for Sparta that you could like reference.
True.
Yeah, I think it was 2C. I think it was 2C.
Oh yeah, okay. I have right here that Mangler confirms a fraction of Sparta's strength would still be 2C if you check the stream.
Yeah, I definitely remember him saying that.
So
that like a fraction of his strength is enough to like put out just about any demon in the demon realm.
Ironically enough, Kenlyam would agree with that because he earlier said a cake reference that if you get a slice of third dimensional cake, you are still 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
He used it in reference to the flame. So Kenlyam would agree with Mangler's claim.
When he was arguing that, I was thinking to myself, like he would also get a 4th dimensional slice from a 4th dimensional cake.
Yeah, so at least based on Kenlyam's agreements with this, I think Mangler is fair to bring up that Dante would be low 2C or 2C based on this, since we're using dimensional tiering. I'm trying to see. Okay, so I do want to address that Kenlyam did state that Yamato wouldn't work because it's Kratos be higher dimensional spatiality or whatever. That seems to have fallen apart with Mangler's closing statements of how dimensions are separated and stuff. They'll be able to watch this at a later point and they'll be able to see like their weaknesses and develop better arguments if they want to redo this in a more in-depth discussion at some point. So without all the fucking scam posting.
Yeah.
Did Kenlyam ever agree with Dante having existence erasure?
I don't think he ever did.
I don't think so.
Because
I think Mangler's description of him having existence erasure was just a tad bit on the shaky side.
Yeah.
The main thing that did it for me though was like him like talking about the Devil May Cry names and how like they go into their existence. So he kind of had a good point on that, I want to say.
Okay.
But everything else he was talking about, he was like, okay, it's basically existence erasure because it erases everything individually, but it's not like total existence erasure.
Yeah,
When it comes to everything
I'll
else,
say,
I would say.
yeah, I'll say that like I think it's I have mixed feelings on it. It's like I think he could get it if he had gone in the right direction. I think he was on the shaky side,
I
and
do think.
especially towards the end. Kenlon didn't really address his last points against like the names and stuff.
Yeah, for the most part, he just kind of said, "Oh, well, like he didn't say anything about that, so I win."
He basically just tried to claim an AP stomp to negate it.
I do see here that in my notes I have for his third discussion that he doesn't really argue against existence erasure. So I guess he stopped arguing about it because then Mangler went on the offensive for his fourth point. Okay, so I'll be frank here. Based on how it was presented, so we have the statement that Chronos created time, and that would still create the universe. So we have a low 2c feat there. There aren't separate dimensions, or at least, well, okay. So Nyx's dimension is weird because. So for sure, the main three dimensions, based on what Mangler presented, are not separate space-times. They would be separate spaces at like the most. Nyx's dimension, he doesn't mention what happens to it. He doesn't mention does it get destroyed, does it like disappear, like. Technically, based on this one, Dante has low 2c or 2c based off scaling to Arkham. Kratos has low 2c based off being able to fight the Titans, but the Titans are stated to be stronger than the gods, and this is Ascension Kratos we're talking. The Hecatonkles did have a statement, right? He did present
Yeah, he provided that.
Okay, and then he did say that Kratos does beat the Hecatonkles. But okay, that doesn't really scale to Nyx's dimension though. So because all of the feats done by the characters are done outside of Nyx's dimension. Nyx's dimension has no bearing on the scaling, so there's a low 2c space.
It's a piece of the God of War cosmology, but it's not really connected to anything that.
Yeah, so it's not really relevant here. So at best, Kratos, based on what we know and based on how Kenlyam would backscale it, at least, disagreeing with some things brought up, would be most likely low 2c just by itself since they're not separated by space-times. Mangler did say that the demon world's dimensions were separated by space-time. I do recall that in his initial statement.
And he talks about like how fusing the human realm with the demon realm like distorted space and time and shit like that.
So and Kenlyam never once hit the idea that demon worlds are separated by space and time. Like he never once tried to argue against that.
No.
Which, again, even a portion of Sparta's power, if he is like 2c or higher, would be able to affect at least two of them. So that would technically give Dante an AP advantage since the God of War pantheon's not separated by space and time based on the evidence presented. So Edgar, I'm gonna cheat a little here. What happens to Nyx's dimension? Like, is there ever a statement for what happens to it?
No, it's kind of just its own separate thing. There's really nothing to state anything happening to it.
Okay, Kev, did you find anything for his immeasurable speed argument or no? Because based on how it was argued, technically Mangler has the speed advantage right now and AP.
Yeah. So there's like this. He gave us pretty much the. I think it was like somewhere on Ariel Lawrence. There was some Twitter scan though. I could bring it up if you guys want.
Okay, you said it's Twitter scan. Let me. So it's Ariel Lawrence, not Tony.
I'm not sure. I'll have to check real quick.
Oh, is it the one about like using Chronos as Kronos' birth, bringing time into existence as a measurement.
Well, that's not really like an immeasurable speed feat, and since he himself argues against power, like in other things, giving you speed, that would be like he would agree that wouldn't give immeasurable speed at least, unless that's different.
Yeah, I was just asking Kev if that was what it was.
Okay, I think it might be from the Ouroboros amulet.
Which as a God of War
Actually,
killer, I have to
I don't
say
think he included it in
vehemently
here.
disagree with that.
I do see a claim for the Ouroboros amulet that they use the full power of it on Kratos.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing is like I remember he mentioned this to me before the debate, but I don't think he included this in the actual I guess the group chat. But his argument, for what I know of, was there's a direct statement in Twitter saying that he defies the Ouroboros' like time manipulation via speed and such. So, but I'm not sure if he actually posted this on here because I don't really see it. I don't.
Okay, so I see something here of like the Ouroboros amulet.
Would Kratos' speed be the one reason during the chase was moving so fast that those falling pillars would look frozen midair? Part of it is Kratos' speed. Part of it was, the scan is there.
Okay, I just found it. The author here says they were toying with Kratos, and that's why Kratos was able to get through it as well. So, I feel like that's. I mean, he does say part of it is Kratos' speed, but.
Here's another thing in
I
regards
mean,
to
I
him.
think
Like,
that's just argumentation that goes with the argumentation. So I mean,
Kev, you're just here to provide information, not to give opinions.
No, I know. I was just like pointing that out because it sounded like you were making your own argument there. So.
Okay. Well, I guess if you feel like that's going on, feel free to like, I guess, just like give a heads up, like, hey, that's not what he meant.
There is something that he posted about specifically like Kratos, kind of like making his own laws of physics, with the Icarus lift here.
Right.
Yeah. So that is one thing to support at least that sort of thing. I'm trying to find the Ouroboros.
I don't remember him going anywhere with the Icarus lift.
I was actually kind of surprised on that one, that the Icarus lift wasn't talked about at all by anybody.
Yeah, I think it was mentioned once.
Yeah, he mentioned it at the beginning. Kenlyam did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It was like one of his like opening arguments.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Hopefully I can answer you. Pollux and Cassidy use the full power of the Ouroboros to such a full extent that they were capable of at the time. It's like a tool where you can get better at using it. Were they able to do the time stop on foes' objects using when they had it? Yes, they should be able to. Some people are able to resist it more than others. Would Kratos' speed be one reason during their chase he was moving so fast that those falling pillars looked frozen in midair? Part of it is Kratos' speed. Part of it was Pollux and Castor toying with Kratos.
Oh wait, hang on a minute. That's only an inaccessible argument.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because it says time stop, and that's what the author's referencing. That's inaccessible. They didn't really go into powers and abilities all that much. They were kind of just like sparring on AP and like speed for the most part.
It was mostly AP and speed, except for that one talk about existence erasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so as it stands for me right now, based on the way it was presented, there's a better, or at least there's a better chance or a better argument. Dante has higher AP, and the mirror world might not be the best one. That's fine. He didn't really. Did he argue the Fury wasn't like a speed feat either, or do we not include the Fury via speed feat since the Fury was more being debated for like self-actualization? Well, no, Mangler used the Fury to argue Dante could enter higher levels of speed and stuff.
Yeah, that's what he was using self-actualization for. He was saying he could self-actualize to get to those speeds like the Fury did.
Yeah.
And Kenlyam didn't disagree that the Fury did self-actualize. He was more disagreeing with
how the Fury was moving.
Yeah.
Like if he was actually moving with speed and or with just like teleportation or like warping.
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I'm looking at, based on how it was presented, and based on the way they set in the evidence here, Kratos is at best low 2C with inaccessible speed. And Dante would be 2C with either. Well, okay, so where would you guys put Dante's speed at? Because if the, like,
with the
go ahead.
at minimum, I would say the potential for inaccessible speed.
Well,
like,
just to be clear, the Lightstone thing is an immeasurable feat, as it was argued. So if the
Lightstone thing?
Yeah.
Is that a DMC thing or a?
Yeah, you know the thing they were arguing for about like the lights going back in time and Dante using his raw power.
Oh yeah.
That's an immeasurable argument, not inaccessible. That they were arguing on the grounds that was immeasurable.
Right, because of the whole transcending time point.
Yeah, and then there's the mirror world for a second, immeasurable because, well, whether or not time's reversed. Unless and Kev, feel free to like either type in or say something on this one if you want. Based on what I'm saying, I'm not really seeing the evidence for the immeasurable speed Kratos that was posted. Did Kenlyam ever argue against Dante being inaccessible, or was he just arguing against immeasurable the entire time?
His main argument against it was to I think his main argument against it that I can see was like the Fury. Like the best thing to go to against would be for that.
And the mirror world as well. He was trying to he disagreed with the mirror world, by the way.
Yeah, the mirror world as well.
Yeah, but
the mirror world.
It seems that most people here agree the mirror world is iffy, at best.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so it's all like so. The thing here is based on the way the switch thing works, the only other like speed thing that was brought up for Dante, since they were debating an immeasurable speed, they didn't really like. Hang on, did Mangler have any speed feats in here in his like scaling chain or no? Let me go to his scans real quickly, see if he put any scans for speed. Oh,
I honestly don't remember much for speed.
Right, I think I remember now. Mangler, like, I don't think he labeled any of these because he was just too busy posting them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
If you argue he even scales to a portion of Sparta's power, that should give Sparta speed technically, but that's just like a line of conclusion. That's not.
That's not something that they argued.
Yeah.
That was more an AP argument rather than a speed argument.
I think as it stands, I would just probably either say I would lean more towards Mangler, or I would claim it inconclusive.
I would also give it more towards Mangler, in my personal opinion.
I'm gonna say I do think that Kenlyam, and I'll be upfront, I do think Kenlyam was certainly more on point with the debate and everything. I just don't think the information is all here to like give him the edge, and he didn't debunk, or he didn't like rebuttal to me. So again, Kev, since you're here, if Kenlyam wants to redo this like more in depth and when he's got more free time, like tell him to throw us a date and we'll see if we can like do that again. Maybe if these two would be willing to come back to hear a more in depth debate without the whole thread dumping. But technically, by Kev's own argument, based on where Mangler put Dante and where Kratos would end up, based on Mangler's counterpoints that Kenlyam didn't really talk about, it's technically an AP stomp in Dante's favor, not including like the hacks that Mangler put down, if you put any.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So definitely let Ken know if that he wants to do like this again with more time and more in depth, where he can like give his arguments better.
Yeah, he said he couldn't he didn't have enough time, so he couldn't really like stage up his arguments. That's what he told us in the group chat. But like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Afterwards.
So like, if he has like another day, he thinks he'll be free. Maybe share it with us, and then like we'll see if we can like come back to this again. But as it stands with the handicaps on both sides, at least, they say Mangler, but I also have to agree with Mangler because that AP scaling arguments for Kratos, they kind of got destroyed pretty hard.
It's kind of sad because I think the debate wasn't really like it was just very which is incomplete, honestly. I think.
Yeah, because we
So
didn't
it's
really
pretty
get into
sad
like
for
half
Ken's
of-
part, yeah.
Also, so I guess for now, consensus across the board is Mangler, but
First
Kev.
impression is Mangler.
Yeah, based off this, yeah, I think Mangler, like, I guess he addressed more things at
Kev,
the end, towards the end.
You gotta like I'm like the biggest like thing here was you gotta tell Ken, even if he doesn't agree with time being the fourth dimension, that's what everyone else agrees on.
Oh my god.
I'm not sure about everybody, but yeah.
That one was nuts.
Well,
That one was nuts to me.
the community
I know a
can-
lot of people who do not agree with that, actually. So
Do you know any scientists who disagree with that?
yeah, that guy named Kratos.
Is he a scientist?
No, like not scientist.
I was gonna say I
don't
didn't
know,
realize I
he's
debated a
not- what he's
scientist.
talking about.
Hang
Nah.
on. My thing. Let me end that real quickly. We don't need this anymore.
It's like, I don't only agree on it, but I'm not going to contest that because that's not really my job. So.
Okay, so. Okay, yeah. So, unfortunately, with the way it went, maybe if Kenlyam had more time, they could have definitely talked more about it. I don't. Well, I'm just gonna say that if Kenlyam's going to play that argument again, like he told Mangler to prove the fourth dimension, I think Kenlyam should bring his own research and scans to confirm time's not the fourth dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Or to be more accurate, so time by itself is fine. Like, you can disagree
Also,
with
I
that.
guess Ken knows that he lost.
But he said space-time isn't the fourth dimension, and I think next time if he wants to substantiate that, he should bring his like some sources for evidence at least.
He needs to
Mhm.
bring a good amount of evidence for me to.
Now, to be fair, I think. To be fair, I do think both sides, if they want to get into the whole physics things, I think they should both provide sources for that.
That's perfectly fine. I don't think any of us were prepared for a contention with the standard norm.
Yeah.
Okay, so the verdicts have been reached for now. Kenlyam definitely did a good job. I do think he was the stronger debater in this debate, but that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. Like,
He was
Kenlyam
definitely very
started out
forceful.
right.
Yeah, I think maybe if he would have just played like the core, what most people agree on, there probably could have been like a different outcome here. So definitely, definitely kudos to Ken on that one. I'm very, very impressed on that one. Mangler's performance was very like, we are gonna fucking roast the shit out of Mangler later.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's the verdict reached. I do appreciate Kev, Ken, Edgar, Excalibur, especially since you're more neutral here on this matter, for you taking your guys' time out of your day for doing this. I do appreciate as well for you guys agreeing to some of our more stricter rules near the end there. So I really appreciate that. If you guys want to come back and do this in more in depth or come back and do it again, I don't have a problem with that. So I do thank you guys for.
I'd be totally down for that.
Yeah, I do thank everyone here for like taking this in stride as good as they could and being at least good sports about it. Kev, do you have anything else to say before I end the video or?
Yeah, I mean, I could ask him if he wants to and do anything else. But yeah, pretty neat debate. I hope it continues. that's what I'm
also
gonna say, I guess.
Do let Ken know that it's more so that very clearly there's lack of information here that wasn't presented. Just don't say oh well all the stats were against you and everything. Make it clear there was very clearly a more in-depth thing could have maybe turned out differently based on how the debate went. Don't make it seem like it was one-sided or something.
Yeah, I was wholly prepared to give it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about it. You guys have any sign-offs or anything, or should I just end the video?
See you later.
All right,
Hasta la vista, baby.
With that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for your time as always. Hope you guys enjoy this debate. Feel free to leave your comments down below. Kev will be, I think, posting the behind-the-scenes 2 hours of Mangler just posting scans on his channel. So definitely check out the behind-the-scenes. I'll link that down below whenever he releases it.
That's actually a longer video than the
it's
actual...
longer than the fucking debate.
Yeah. Go look at me bullying Scimitar on our face reveals.
Actually, are the face reveals there? Am I gonna be destroyed by his chin in front of the entire world to see?
The unavoidable chin move. She awesome.
So yeah, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time as always. Have a nice day. Again, I'll link the behind the scenes when he posts them up on this video. He will also have the stream as well. And yeah, take care, everybody. Have a nice day or night.
All right, now give me my money.